Welcome to the Love Your Neighborhood Practitioners podcast, where we talk with those doing the work on the ground in neighborhoods, practicing this exciting work of resident-led neighborhood revitalization. We believe that when residents are at the center of the change process, we can build sustainable communities from the inside out and break negative generational cycles. And it's also just a lot of fun. I'm your host, Austin Maxheimer, Director of Love Your Neighborhood at Community One in Evansville, Indiana. And with me is my co-host and teammate, Hannah Wehr. And today we get two very special guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So go ahead, guys.
Introduce myself as Merrick Korach. I wear a lot of different hats, but I'm really just an advocate for people, particularly the people that we work alongside and with.
So my name is Thaddaus Summers Jr. Most people know me as TJ. I work for the YMCA. My main hat is the Love Your Neighborhood Coordinator for the Glenwood neighborhood. I also do some after-school program stuff with the YCAP, the Boys Mentoring Program, and I also do wraparound care. Keep me busy.
All right.
Very much.
And when I think about people who are practicing this work, these two guys' faces definitely pop to mind immediately when I think about that. So the reason why we're doing this limited series podcast, our main purpose is to do just that, to learn from one another, to share wins and fails, best practices and practical tips, and learn from one another as a community of practitioners. We also want to continue to elevate Love Your Neighborhood as a real solution for genuine community transformation by sharing stories of real change from those doing the work on the ground with people in neighborhoods like Glenwood. So TJ, introduce us to the Glenwood neighborhood where you primarily do your work.
So the Glenwood neighborhood, it's kind of south of Riverside, and it borders on out South Kentucky Avenue near Wolf's Auto Auction. So really in between Zesto's and Wolf's Auto Auction is the Glenwood neighborhood, and extends a little bit out towards Culver, near the Culver neighborhood. And right there on Riverside, it kind of borders with the TP Park neighborhood as well.
And what do you love about the neighborhood as you spend time there?
I would say the people. The people are full of life, full of joy. They want better for themselves. They want better for the next generation. The older people out there, they want better for the next generation as well. So short answer is the people.
All right. And Merrick, you've worked alongside with me for years in the TP Park neighborhood, but I'll just say you also grew up just on the south side in general, went to Boise and all that. So if you could just describe for someone who's maybe not familiar with Evansville as a whole, if you could just kind of describe or introduce them to the south side of Evansville.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, growing up, I lived across from Boise High School, but then moved to technically how we would consider it is Uptown. And so that is much of what is north of Washington Avenue in Evansville. And then we called everything south of that the South Side. And so I lived in Uptown, and you know, it's interesting. My entire upbringing, the different places that I lived, the different schools, Harper, Washington, Boise, was very diverse. My best friend was multiracial, lived right down the street from me. So that was my world growing up. And so that is what I experienced. It wasn't until I left for seminary that I did research on Evansville, finding out that at the time, 82% were white. The next biggest population was 12% Black population, and that is in that area that I just described, that Uptown South Side area. And that really just changed the way that I interacted with the space. But again, growing up and those places being my stomping grounds felt like home. In a lot of ways, the diversity of that.
Fascinating to think. I grew up on the west side, which is 92% white. And so it's like to think that your experience of Evansville is a diverse one. Mine was about the exact opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. When I found that out, it did bring into context, like, where I am is my world that I know. And if I never get outside of that, we won't know, what it really is.
Yeah.
So where are you currently in the neighborhood? Like, what are you working on? What phase are you in? What year are you in?
I believe I'm in year 3 currently with the Lever neighborhood work. Something I'm working on right now is the second round of the action projects. And for those who don't know what that is, part of the Lever Neighbor program is for neighbors to make change from the inside. And with that, we have something called action projects, and neighbors can apply to do something in the neighborhood to make it better. And it's been some growing pains with it being my second go around doing it. I'm happy to see what comes next.
Let me ask you this. Sorry, jumping in, but I'm curious. Maybe another Lever neighborhood practitioner is doing action projects for the first time. What would you tell them to ease their the process for them?
I would say be patient. With the first round, I was expecting like a flood of applications to come in, and fast forward to reality, it's not that. I think the first round I got 6 maybe, and 2 of them kind of fizzled out. So we ended up really having 4, I believe. And yeah, it's just best to be patient with it. It'll come. Mm-hmm. It'll come. And the ones that we've had, I've seen some fruit come from them so far.
Have you seen a change in the number of applications, or like neighbors kind of understanding what action projects are, or trusting maybe the investment more the second round?
With the second round, well, by the time the second round came, I would say a lot more people are in the know about it, which is good. But I would say over half of them are hesitant to go forward with it, even though they've seen some of them come about and have positive results. I think people are just still kind of dragging their feet about it. But I'm hopeful and optimistic for the third round. I think the floodgates might open then once people see that this is something serious. It's not anything to play around with.
So continuing that thread on action projects, Merrick, you have a pretty unique perspective in that you were part of the practitioners that were, utilizing them in the neighborhood, but then now you have actually been on the receiving end of action projects just as a neighbor as you've moved on. So can you just share that experience of being on both sides of that and what you've experienced as the benefit for neighbors in that process?
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly has been the full spectrum of that, both the giving and the receiving of it. For the giving portion of it, or to answer your question first, like the benefit of it, simply getting direct investment in the hands of neighbors changes the game. We don't see that happening in and around the Evansville area all too much. And for an organization to come alongside residents and say, what your vision is what we want, and here is something to help get that to that end goal, is really a beautiful thing. And so that's on like the giving side of things. On the receiving side, once I left Community One, I was able then to be on that receiving end of it. And for me to receive direct investment, again, was a game changer, because when I received those fundings, it just came at a good time while myself and another neighbor has been working on an economic development project in the neighborhood. That action grant funding went towards that project. And although it is minuscule in the amount compared to what it costs to get that project across the finish line, again, it just came at a really good time, and it wasn't like money out of my pocket to help move that progress forward using those action team funding.
Yeah, those small investments over long periods of times can really, add up to make a big difference. And TJ, that's just what I want to say to you, is that I've watched your life where you make small investments in people's lives over and over and over and over again. And I just want to, first of all, thank you for that, for your service and witness. And it encourages me and challenges me, honestly, to be invested in people. So can you talk about how you've used your unique strengths in implementing this work in the neighborhood?
Yeah. Well, for a long time, it's felt like everybody knows me, and I feel like I know everybody. And I would say when I first started with the YMCA, started to do the YCAP program, so boys after school mentoring program. And with that, as I transition into the Loving Neighbor work, is an easy transition because like I know all the boys and I know all their families, especially in the Glenwood area because I went to Glenwood myself, and it just feels like I'm at home. And as long as I can remember, I've been a giver, and this role that I stepped in this work, it just enhances that, and I love it.
Both of you have kind of come back into work and to give back to the places where you were raised.
Yeah.
Why did you make that decision, and how has it been helpful for neighbors to see you, to build trust? Like, has that impacted your work?
For me, it just came naturally, really. Like people know me, the kids, they first know that I'm being my authentic self at all times. Kids are the first ones to pick up on if you're acting funny with them or being fake or whatever. And yeah, so they know and they cling to me well. Like I said, I know all their parents, so they trusted me. They know me for a long time, so they know that I wouldn't steer them in the wrong way. And with this machine behind me, the Loving Neighbor program is a good benefit for us all.
Yeah, for myself, I left for seminary, and once I graduated, knew that I would come back home. And Evansville's home since I've been about 3. Not wanting to be behind a pulpit, but to be right back in those places that felt like and was home to me, my stomping grounds growing up. And like TJ said, already having those relationships over the years that you've built, the people that you know, whether they're family, friends, or mentees, really goes a long way, especially in the trust factor, right? Like you're stepping into a place that trust is already established. And for somebody like TJ and I's role to be on the ground building trust and relationships with folks, that certainly sets us off on a good foot. Helps me be more receptive to what's taking place. But for me, going to seminary, I just wanted to live that out and see the place that I call home be transformed by the gospel. And so that's what led me, I think, a major part of going back to those spaces.
You guys are truly building the community from the inside out. You're from and of the community. And that's powerful. And we need the next generation to do that. So, going a little off script here, but just trying to go where the wind's taking us. You both work with the next generation, have worked directly with the next generation. When you interact with kids in the neighborhood, what strengths you? I said people are so critical these days of young kids. What strengths do you see in the kids that you work with, whether at YCAP or just in the neighborhood, run around? Like, what strengths do you see that we can build on as a community?
I would say the majority of them are flexible, and by that I mean they're willing to learn. Really, what I'm trying to say, it depends who it's coming from.
Well,
really.
Sure, yeah, yeah. It's not a profile of one person, is it? But yeah.
And they really appreciate when I come in because, like I said, I'm being my authentic self. I do believe in God and I do believe in Jesus, but that's not the first thing that I'm coming in the room with. My main priority with the kids is teach them right from wrong. Like I said, I do believe in going to church. I don't really go myself, but I believe in God firmly. I pray 50 times a day, and yeah. And I would say more than 100 times I'm just thankful for everything that's going on in my life. And I try to teach the kids that, just teach them just to be thankful, even though things might not be going the way they want it to be, but just have faith and try to stay positive about things that are going on in their life at the moment.
Every neighborhood that we've worked with, and this is probably a universal thing, that every neighborhood wants the next generation to succeed, and that's always in their vision for change. Can you well, let me back up but whenever we're listening, we don't always listen to youth. But after the Vision for Change, you have been really successful in getting youth involved, the YMCA. Can you talk about like how youth get involved, what that looks like?
Yeah, so with the YMCA, we have a lot of different after school programs. We have the YCAP program, which is for boys. We have the Diamonds program, which is for girls, and we have the Gen Y program, which is for boys and girls. We have the Bridging Literacy program. We have Youth in Government, and a few others. And with that, the reach is so broad. So there's a lot of different things that kids can choose from with the YMCA, and it's just a good thing, especially with the physical activity component that we bring. There are still some kids who like to move around and play sports and stay active, but then you have the other side of kids who are like stuck on the technology and things like that, which is bittersweet, you know. Because I've seen social media and technology go really good and really bad. I feel like it's caused a lot of kids to shut down and hermit themselves and not really interact with other humans like how we're used to doing. I don't want to sound too old, but I kind of do miss the old days where like social interactions were a lot more prominent. I would say a few years back, I'm not going to say how many years back, but I was at a party and you look around and a lot of people are just like on their phones, taking selfies and just posting statuses or just like inside the party just scrolling. And whenever we were younger at the parties, it looked a lot different. A lot different, you know. Yeah.
But I do think that's an important just note. Like, we ought to be utilizing technology in our neighborhood building. We should think of how to leverage it for communication, for just anything, because technology, of course, in and of itself is not inherently evil. And so it's like, how do we use that? I've seen neighborhoods do 3D printing for design work. I've seen other things. So it's like, how do you balance that utilization of cutting edge technology that's at our fingertips and at neighbors' fingertips, while creating these community of belongings where we can put our phone away for an hour and actually just spend time together in the neighborhood? That's a pretty interesting kind of wedding of things. So,
and with them being on these phones and different types of technology, I think as we move forward throughout the years, these kids are gonna figure some stuff out that we couldn't figure out. Let it be like some stuff where we're going to space quicker or things like that, or go further underwater. I think these kids will end up figuring that stuff out. And like I said, it comes from them being on there all the time. So sometimes I feel like it's not all bad. You'll have a good portion of them who are actually doing something on those phones and like learning stuff, and actually like typing stuff in on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and instead of just like taking what comes to them with the scrolling through reels and all that.
Well, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about stakeholder engagement for a while, because Merrick, for the last year or a couple years, has had a role that's recently left to coordinate a collaborative citywide initiative. And so I just was interested, having done that for a couple of years while also working for 3 years, like formally on the ground. You've worked informally, continued that work. But what did you learn during that time that you'd like to share with other Love Your Neighborhood practitioners? How would you encourage them? Learnings that you had, just what from that experience that other people probably may never have. What would you encourage them? Like, how would you shape their work based off your experience?
Yeah. At where it starts is with relationships, and like, what does that relational capital look like? Not just with the residents, but what does that look like with the stakeholders as well? And as TJ and others continue to do that work, people are taking notice and people are seeing that stuff. And so that is the groundwork that a lot of people never get to see. But that's the thing that directly gets linked to investment and support in the stuff that we have going on in the neighborhoods we find ourselves in. And so my encouragement is to lean into those relationships and build that trust relationally. It's not, I can say a whole lot of things that it's not. It's frustrating. It's a lot of red tape. It's politicking and things like that. But you can still have your end goal in mind and navigate those relationships and know how to set healthy boundaries even as you interact with folks. Lean into those who have a like mindset and that are willing to put 2 feet down on the ground alongside you to understand what you guys are going through. And then steward that relationship well too, right? So even maybe after you get funding, invite those same folks to come through and see what their investment has done in that specific location. And I would even think, depending on how relationships kind of build out, there's space for accountability in there too, right? So to, I guess, hold people to a standard of which they said they want to do for the neighborhoods that they say they want to participate in.
So I just want to sit here for 1 second longer, and then I got a question for TJ with you about your relationship with the J.D. Chef Foundation and investment in the neighborhood. But before getting there, I really just, as much as you're willing to put on a public podcast, what barriers did you experience to the resident-centric approach while you were at probably a conversation level that was more structural and systems that you probably didn't look around and see a lot of everyday neighbors around the tables that you were at for those couple of years. So what barriers did you face in that work? What might you say to a Love Your Neighbor practitioner who's trying to balance, do I go to this meeting or do I go to that front porch? You know, do I go to this collaborative meeting where we talk about things that may never land, or do I go spend, because we only have so much time. So as you practice the work, what's the tension there? And yeah, just anything you want to put into that realm of.
Yeah, absolutely. You gave an example a while back that I just love, and it's like flipping a paradigm on its head, right? So we have these decision-making tables. Oftentimes those in the ivory towers are setting those tables and those placemats and then inviting those who they want or feel is appropriate to be in those spaces. Oftentimes, residents, neighbors, those who are supposed to be served are not at those tables. So we're not learning firsthand experiences about what works for them. Rather, we are looking at something and saying, we've heard from them and this is what we want to do for that. And it's oftentimes more so to rather than alongside and with. You talk about flipping this paradigm where from the inside out, if we're creating these tables, then we can invite stakeholders to those tables. And then, in a sense, you're building in not only the listening, but then also the action plan through the neighbors alongside with those stakeholder who want to engage. And so my encouragement is to lean into that space more, lean into the gifts and talents and resources that are right there in the community, because whenever you guys start to rub shoulders with and lock arms to do work, like those are the folks there that are going to help you get through it at the end of the day. And I believe then as things take place, for example, this economic development project that we've worked on in the neighborhood, a lot of that was on the shoulders of myself and a resident. And although we had stakeholder participation, I wouldn't say that anything was handed to us. And when things start to fail or look a certain way, what we fall back on is what is in our control and what do we have power over and what can we do as a collective enough to then maybe brings people along whenever they are ready to try it out. So then you talk about the flip side then, like how do you get those folks, those stakeholders to that table? And I think a lot of it is showing that tangible impact of what's taking place by and for the neighbors who are being led. Because at the end of the day, when you step into those spaces and 2 feet down in these neighborhoods and you see the people and talk to them and see what they have going on, it's really life-giving. And I think when people experience that, they want to be a part of it. And so I would just say, like, be the change that you want to see in the world and do that alongside the people who feel the same way. And ultimately, both residents and stakeholders want to be a part of that. But it's a long process and it's not that straightforward.
No, certainly. You did it it sounds great. So TJ, speaking of that, created a runway of investment for stakeholders in Glenwood. We have the residents' vision for change plan. You spent hundreds of hours listening to neighbors on the ground. But then you were able to help create that investment. So with a local foundation, can you just talk about some of the things that you did to cultivate that relationship and make it easy for that investment to land in the neighborhood?
Yeah, so it was sort of a domino effect because stakeholder engagement and just nurturing relationships is very important. And to go back to the root of it, Merrick and I, we went to Ball City together. We have a lot of the same friend groups, so we kind of hung out when we were younger. And fast forward, like we worked together off and on. He's worked with me at the YMCA, working with the boys and doing other things. And he got the job at Echo, and I asked him for donations of some toilet paper and stuff for the residents in the area because the need was great. And so he was able to help me out with that, and then he told his supervisor, Savannah, about it too, and she was willing to donate some stuff, and I kept in contact with her, and just told her about everything that I'm doing, all the good things I have going on, and so she really appreciated that, and they needed a seat on their board for Echo Housing. And Reverend Arnold, he's a prominent figure in the area, and he also sat on the board. And so I feel like the pick was easy because Merrick vouched for me, and Reverend Arnold, and a few others, I believe. And just nurturing that relationship with Savannah, she ended up connecting me with Jamie Sheth. And she already did a lot of stuff for the Glenwood School. And so I connected with Jamie. We took a walk around the neighborhood. I showed her a few things, and upon our walk in the neighborhood, like a lot of people screamed my name, saying hi, just coming up to us whenever they seen us walking around in the area. And so she seen the passion and the passion I have for the area and the good people. And so she decided to extend her reach at Glenwood School, and she decided that she wanted to adopt the entire Glenwood neighborhood. And a little before that, I showed her the Vision for Change brochure, and she loved it. And right away, she started coming up with different ideas and plans on how to knock some of those stuff off the list. And it's been really good, and really fruitful so far. A lot of big things have happened, and a lot of big things coming.
Yeah, I know residents are really excited about some of the things that they've been advocating for themselves for a very long time.
Yeah.
And now they've aligned behind a vision. They're working together, and a stakeholder is aligned alongside of them because they saw the desire, the need, the assets of the neighborhood, and they wanted to build on that. So I think that's a really cool.
One of the things in the brochure is they wanted safer streets and safer walkways. And with that, Jamie and her foundation, they got striping all the way down Sweetser. I think now it's from end to end, I believe. And with that, before that, cars were just kind of going wherever they wanted to, and in the middle of the street, or just, it was a mess. But now they have kind of a guide to stay on one street or the other as far as like with the cars. And so it's been really good. And she got most of the street lights fixed, I believe. Wow. And just about 2 weeks ago, they had all the old fencing pulled up. So Caldwell Park in the Glenwood neighborhood. It's going to have new fences soon. A lot of the outdated playground equipment that's been uprooted. And that stuff has been there for years. It's got some wear and tear on it, and a lot of it I feel like was a safety hazard. And so I spoke with her and Miss Danielle Crooks from the Parks Department. They got some new stuff coming I'm excited about.
One of the interesting things about the Glenwood neighborhood is it was the first neighborhood in our region that had a formal neighborhood revitalization effort. Coming out of the banking crisis in 2008, Habitat really partnered with the Glenwood Neighborhood Association. Some of the heroes of the Black community are from there, from Lou Porter, Lucy Williams. This is like these, just like heroes and giants of the community. But I feel like what I've experienced, and this is really not just unique to Glenwood, but initiatives come and go, funding comes and goes, partnerships come and go, and the people that are still there are neighbors. And I feel like that they can get kind of disenchanted with the process a little bit. And I know we've experienced that some on the ground in Glenwood. So what are just some of the things that you've done over the years to develop trust? TJ, you can start us off, but Merrick, you can jump in anytime too. But how do you build trust, especially in neighbors that rightfully so have like layers of protection on?
I would say just being present in the area. Sometimes I would do like a pop-up where I would just like have a table out there, and I wouldn't bring like any of like the sign-up sheets or connection cards, which I see it look on your face.
Not a best practice. No, I'm
which I should have connection cards, but at times I feel like it's just best to be present. Like, no stuff on the table. You don't have to sign this, do this, or whatever. I was just there for conversation.
Yeah, right.
And like people would ride past and be like, "Hey, what do you have going on?" I was like, "Come over here and see." Mm-hmm. And then they would get out, and we ended up having like a good conversation. And like I've heard plenty of people say that they appreciate me just being out in the area.
Yeah, for me, I can't agree any more to you with saying that like being present changes the game, and proximity, right? Being in proximity with the folks that we're doing life with, like, speaks volume, and that goes far, way farther than just like things that you can do for and to and with people. And so like, I remember an individual that is in the neighborhood who just got out of being locked up, and the more time that we spent with one another, the more that he came to know just myself. And so here we are, crazy 5 years later, when talking about this individual, and he'll sit there and say like, I believe in Merrick, I trust Merrick, but not necessarily I trust a TP Park or a Glenwood Neighborhood Association or a Community One, a Echo or YMCA. But it's really about how you do life with people in a very genuine way, because at the end of the day, once that person or things that they are connected to take action for tangible impact, people are seeing that and taking notice and saying, all right, they are who they say they are, and they're about what they say they're about. And so being present and then taking advantage of those tangible impact, whether it's projects or it could be beautification, it could be economic development, it could be showing up for the youth. And the more that they see that, the more that they buy into that person, not necessarily the initiative itself. And so I think it comes down to just being a good steward of that then at the end of the day.
Relationships and nurturing them are very important, and making people feel like they're included. Just like we had the gratitude and gravy breakfast with Community One. I think I had 2 or 3 neighbors come out there. Well, I invited them to come out there with me, just to see a different space and meet some new people.
Yeah.
So I think it was Miss Shalin and Mateo that came out there, and they were happy to be in that space. And outside of coming out there with me, they seen some more familiar faces, so they were happy to see you all out there too.
Mateo has such a unique story too, and he really emphasizes like someone that you met along the process who is really engaged in leadership and has gotten more deeply involved. Can you just tell the story of engaging with Mateo and how you recognize
definitely.
his assets? And
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, he's a unique individual. He's
one of the most unique laughs I've ever heard.
I can hear it in my mind.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of people comment on that. They could hear his laugh from a mile away, and laughter is infectious.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I forget where we were, and I said something to make him laugh, and then like a person like 20 feet away just started laughing because he was laughing. They don't know what we were talking about. It could have been good or bad, or we could have been talking about them. But like I said, it's definitely infectious. And like you said, I met Mateo within this work, and I would say about 2 or 3 months after I met him, his mother had passed away. And so he had told me he was down in the dumps. And with that, I took it upon myself to try to get him out of the house more, to try to keep his mind off of it temporarily. Like I said, invited him to the gratitude and gravy breakfast. Every time I have an event, I have him like use the sign-in sheet to help sign people in. Just small stuff like that. He loves it. He loves it a lot. And I don't know if I mentioned, but he's a wheelchair-bound gentleman, so he gets around on like a motor scooter. And like every time I invite him to a place, I call ahead to make sure it's ADA accessible. And everywhere we went, he's able to get into and have fun and feel included.
it's an important reminder to think ahead of time about barriers that neighbors may face, whether that's the time of day they can meet, their physical limitations. Like it's important to think about those because neighborhood work is not a one size fits all, and it's not a one neighbor fits all. So you have to constantly adapt and listen and learn.
Yeah. So just recently, he filled out an action project, and the selection committee awarded it to him.
Right.
And what he wanted to do is enhance some of the neighborhood cleanups in the area. So we went out and bought some of the stuff. We went to Lowe's, and like I called ahead of time, make sure they had like some of the scooters in there for him because his wouldn't fit on my car because I don't have like a hitch thing. So he got in the car with me, and I made sure that they had some charged because sometimes you never know. I went to Walmart and I've seen people try to get on one and they're not charged because I've seen some people like to play on them. And I've seen people who don't need them on them. So you just never know what might be going on that particular day. But I make sure that they have some charge for them. And we're having a good time running around the store, getting some of the stuff for the neighborhood cleanup.
And just think how valued he feels when you go somewhere and you've already checked ahead of that. You know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times he doesn't know that I did that.
Yeah.
He might know now.
Yeah. Well, but. I mean, just the fact that he's able to always be accessible everywhere you go, that shows, you're putting in that work relationally. So let me, we're going to close this way. 2 more questions. I would be remiss if I did not mention when we did this season 1, first time around Practitioners podcast, TJ wasn't at the table yet. So we've launched a new Love Your Neighbor initiative since we recorded last in the Glenwood neighborhood. So we have our newest practitioner, even though you've been doing community work for a long time before Love Your Neighborhood, but just to Love Your Neighborhood specific, our newest practitioner and our pioneer old head, longest practitioner at the same table. So two relatively quick questions. I'll make Merrick go first. But same question to both of you. If you could go back to Merrick in 2019 and share one bit of advice that would help you implement this work more effectively and more life-giving, what would you tell that young whippersnapper?
Yeah, that whippersnapper.
Fresh out of seminary.
Lean into your strengths would be the first thing. Like there's a calling on your life. Lean into that. At the same time, nobody taught me healthy boundaries in my life. Right. And so if I take it back a little bit, like I had a father growing up, but he wasn't necessarily the mentor or father figure that allowed me to get game from him, so to speak, like how to navigate this life that we all grew up to have to interact with. And so I would say because I didn't have a lot of that, I kind of just sat back and observed and watched and kind of navigated life that way. And I would even say like I assimilated into places, whether it was the diverse crowd and knowing how to interact with that, or my friend group, or the stakeholder type population where we would say that looks a lot different. And so I always found myself assimilating into spaces, and in that same light, picked up what worked well, discarded what didn't serve me. And of course, we pick up on a lot more stuff like that. And if you do the digging, you'll find out what those like deep rooted things are in your life that needs to be kind of cleaned out. But along the way, what I'm saying is that healthy boundaries was never taught to me. Mm-hmm. And so how can you protect what is valuable about yourself and what you bring to the table without overdoing it? Because oftentimes my first inclination is if I won't do it, who will? And so I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it all. And that is not sustainable. And it's not I don't believe it's the way forward, although I don't know what the answer is. And so I would tell him to lean into his gifts, but start to create healthy boundaries or think about ways to interact with the work that it doesn't fall on your shoulders per se.
That's good. Mm-hmm. TJ, what would you tell Mr. Summers 3 years ago?
I think I would tell him to not look at the whole brick wall and get intimidated by it. I would probably tell him, I would tell him just to lay one brick at a time, then move on to the next one, and move on to the next one. And the next thing you know, you might have like a little short whatever, and just keep laying them. Next thing you know, you might have a wall. Yeah. And it might still have some holes in it, but just keep building on one brick at a time.
Yeah, that's really rich.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah. Because coming into it, I was very intimidated. I don't know what was going on, but I saw myself
that's bad coaching.
No, you did good. It was more so me, the way I was taking it.
We've grown together, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good, it is a lot of work. Transitions perfectly to the last question, which was, when was the last time you remember having fun in this work with a smile on your face? Share that experience.
I think oftentimes it comes down to the people that you're doing it with, like TJ mentioned earlier. Like when you get to do that work alongside people, like it makes it that much better. I would say being able to bring a pretty big project across the finish line, even though I didn't set time to celebrate that after taking 5 years to do it. As I sit back and I think about that, I'm grateful for it, and I know I'm better on the other side of whatever that took to get that across the finish line. And so just a healthy reminder to like celebrate the small wins and the people that are doing that alongside you.
And we actually have picture proof of you smiling in that. TJ, when did you last have fun in the neighborhood work? When do you remember having a smile on your face?
Well, I feel like I have fun all the time, but something that sticks out is one of the larger events that I did. It started out as like a family day cookout type of thing, but as the night passed, it turned to like a glow night, movie night, and I think I had like around 200 people there, and it was a lot of work that went into it, like all the setting up and staying in contact with the community partners, getting the word out and everything, getting the food and stuff set up, getting volunteers to help me and things like that. And I would say it was about 8:45 at night, and some of my family had came up there just to hang out and see everything. And my dad, he was there like under the canopy thing, sitting on the bench. And I went there and just sat next to him, and I just finally was able to breathe for a little bit. And I looked around like everybody's having fun, smiles on their faces, and I was able to take a step back and just like look at everything. Not only that I did, but all the people that helped me make that night really good. So that felt really good. I had a big smile on my face, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I seen some old friends, made some new friends, and an older lady came up to me towards the end of the night, and she just thanked me for bringing like all the people together that night. So it was a good time.
Yeah, can I share another one?
Yeah.
Because as I think about that, as I think about what I would have told younger Merrick, as well as, smiling and seeing things take place, is that, right, I don't have to shoulder everything. And there was a moment me and you sat back at, I don't believe it was a leadership team meeting. I think it was more so a regular neighborhood meeting. And we got to see everybody else doing the work. And we just got to sit back. And I think we had the same thought at the same time. And we shared a smile, and we got to see people do what they do best. And so...
Yeah, it's good. Well, I'm smiling now. And my encouragement to you guys as you continue to practice this work, and for those of you who are interested in practice this work, is find the things that put smiles on your faces as you do it, and do more of that. Because if you're having fun doing it, you will love your neighborhood.